Are you a defender struggling to make an impact on a game? Are you struggling with making your presence known? Or are you consistently being beaten by attackers? If so, you're in the right place. In the next few minutes, we'll talk about how you can become that defender that every attacker fears. Number one, you need to have a solid read of the game. You are the furthest player back on the pitch apart from a goalkeeper, so you need to understand and read everything that's happening in front of you. Just like a midfielder needs to scan and read the game so that they can be creative and create opportunities for their attackers, as a defender, you need to read the game and see where the threats are. So many lower level defenders are reactive, and even some high level defenders, they react and rely on their physical abilities, but they're not using their brain to read what's going on and to position themselves in the best way. When I think of the best defender at reading the game, I think of Paolo Maldini. He has a quote where he talks about if he has to make a tackle or make a slide tackle, then he's done something wrong. And that says a lot coming from one of the best defenders of all time. He's talking about needing to read the game, to anticipate, and to cut out dangerous opportunities before they even develop. So make sure you're constantly scanning and you're thinking about what's dangerous. As a center back, that ball over your head is always going to be dangerous. So know, what is that distance between you and your goalkeeper? Is your goalkeeper able to come out and claim a certain ball, or are you going to have to drop and cut that out yourself? Also read, are you going to be that center back that's following a striker into the midfield to put that pressure and not let them turn? Whatever it is, whatever your tactics are from your coach or your manager, you need to make sure you're reading the game and communicating with your team around you. Number two is developing an aura as a defender. And this is a word that's thrown out a lot, but I'm sure you can think of players you've come up against that have an aura, or you can think of professional players that have an aura. Some of those hardest defenders to beat, they feel like it's just not possible to beat them. They have this feeling and this confidence about them that they're just going to win every challenge and they can't be beat. But you too can develop this aura. And really what that comes from is the ability to read the game, to communicate well with those around you, and to not be afraid to put in a tackle. If you start dominating the game, if you start dominating individual duels, you're knocking players over, you're winning every header, you're winning every ball, it's naturally going to lead to the opposition being afraid of you. So in order to do this, you need to be able to read the game and understand that a lot of attacking movements that players make are easily readable and predictable. So you can look at players and you can very quickly realize what their tendencies are. Are they a striker that always checks to the ball then tries to spin? Or are they a winger that always just wants to square you up and drive end line? A lot of attackers do the same thing over and over because it's what they're comfortable with. So can you use the first couple minutes of the game to read them, to be a little bit patient, to be a little bit less risky, and mostly jockey and force them one way to try to read what they want to do? And if they beat you in one way, they're probably going to try to beat you that way again. So learn from early mistakes and read early on what players' tendencies are. So developing that aura is a combination of these 3 points and really being confident in what you do. If you can read somebody early, if you can know their tendencies, then that allows you to be more aggressive, to get stuck into tackles because you know what's coming. And once you start winning those battles, winning those duels, the other team is going to think you're unbeatable. Now, what type of attackers are you likely to face as a defender? Let's start with the pace abuser, that guy that is just extremely pacey and wants to get down line and be direct. How can you stop this type of player? Against this type of player, it's so important to give them a little bit of space if they have the ball and they're driving at you. You need to back up, start jockeying, start dropping and picking up pace, but forcing in one direction so that you know right when they take that big touch, you have a couple yards head start and you can cut across and either win the ball or take out the man. In any situation as a defender, you cannot let both the ball and the man pass you. So never let that happen. And in this sort of situation, you can never allow yourself to be squared up, to be facing that ball flat-footed. If you do that, a pacey player is going to see you're flat-footed, they're going to take a big touch around you, and you're going to have to shift your feet and change your momentum, change your whole body direction to turn and try to get after them. By the time you get turned, they're going to be far gone and you won't be able to catch them. Next, how do you defend that technical player? It's hard to put a tackle in on them. If you dive in, they're going the other direction. They're so quick and they're so technical that it seems like you can't get close to the ball. Against these types of players, it's so important to make sure that you force in one direction and you don't overcommit. Don't be diving in because they're so agile, they're so technical that at any point, if you stick a leg in, they're going to beat you. So you need to force in one direction, jockey them, let your numbers get back, and just keep that type of player in front of you. When you're playing against this type of player, whether it's the 10 or the best player from the opposition, the goal is not to win the ball, the goal is to make them give the ball up. So if their most dangerous player plays the ball back to their center back or a fullback, you've done your job. Getting the ball off of their foot is the key here. And that doesn't require you to put in a tackle. Just stay patient, keep them in front of you, force them one direction, and let your numbers get back behind the ball. And lastly, how do you defend 1v1 against that beast of a striker, that big, physical body? If you're playing against an attacker that is more physical than you, you cannot get sucked into that physical battle first and foremost. You need to outsmart them instead of outfight them. Staying low against these players is extremely important. If you get into a battle of trying to push with your arms or your chest, they're going to be stronger than you and they're going to knock you off balance. So you need to stay low, stay compact, low to the ground, and be getting your shoulder into their back, into their side. But also getting on their nerves is another tactic that you can take. You can pull on their shirt, you can put in a little bit of a late tackle without getting a red, of course, but making sure that your presence is known is important, but really being a pest, being on them, pulling on their shirt in non-dangerous situations where you won't give up a pen or a dangerous free kick, but making sure that they know that you are a physical threat as well, but not engaging in that full physical battle. And when these big physical players get on the ball, just try to get a toe in. You're not trying to fight and to cleanly win a ball and gain possession and distribute. You're trying to get a toe in between their legs, around their legs, whatever it looks like. Getting a toe and poking that ball to your 6 or whoever's there is going to be the key here. So hopefully this video helped you to become a more confident defender. And if you implement these ideas and these skills into your game, you can become that defender that everyone hates coming up against. Now, since you made it this far, make sure you like and subscribe because I post weekly content that'll help you become a better footballer. Now, while you're also here, make sure you comment down below. Let me know which one of these areas do you need to improve in the most, and I'll catch you in the next video.